This week's Temporal Archimedia is not that crazy. The first stage is a Legocyte capture mission, but instead of one, you'll be dealing 2 buffed-up Legocytes on this mission. Their level ranges at level 600, and while I would love to recommend having gas damage in your weapon, it would not be a good advice, as the next stages will require you to deal with the Scaldra faction that is weak against impact and corrosive damage. So instead, I go with corrosive in my main weapon, which is a kit gun I call the Hentacles. For those asking why it's called the Hentacles, well, I'll let my OG fans tell you in the comments section below. To help deal more damage to these buffed Legocyte though, I did add gas in my Verglass Sentinel weapon. I also pair it with radiation, not for damage, but for crowd control, which will be helpful in Stage 2 of the Temporal Archimedia. I don't know why, but it seems like Digital Extreme's favorite thing now is to make us suffer in the Solstice Square. For this week, it doesn't have the crazy Vamp Rock modifier, but enemies still pose a threat to Flare and Lizzie, as they will lose health fast if you let 1 or 2 enemies get close to your defense target. The radiation from Verglass allows me to inflict the confusion status, helping my team survive this round with the crowd control it provides. In addition, your operator is most valuable for this week's Temporal Archimedia. We can't use our gears this week because of the embargo modifier, so we will rely on our operator to boost the healing of Flare through the Vazarin Focus School. Take note that only the healing Void Dash works with Flare, and the invulnerability don't. The Guardian Shell also doesn't work on the defense target, but it can provide good source of survivability to the team. You can use the Vazarin to constantly heal Flare, but also make sure that your whole team are protecting them. Like I have said, only the healing works, and not the invulnerability of the Focus School. I was very lucky at my second try that we have a Trinity on the team. The Warframe's damage reduction buff from her ultimate does works on defense target. That is why I can constantly heal Flare with my protective sling. The last part is an exterminate mission, and one thing that I strongly recommend is don't be stupid like me, that don't read the modifiers sometimes. The last stage requires you to deal weak spot hits, or else you will be dealing less damage to the enemies. The enemies here have 95% reduction to damage unless you hit them in their weak spots, but you can override this by actually using status effects such as heat to also damage their health bar fast. Honestly, the Temporal Archimedia right now is not hard, but it's kind of frustrating because of the bullet sponge enemies. You are very lucky to get good weapons and gears, but for someone like me, who only optimize those items that I think are steel path worthy, then get ready to spend a lot of time in each stage of the Temporal Archimedia. However, I hope these simple tips and tricks will help you on this week's challenges. The rest of the video is a showcase of my full Temporal Archimedia run with Lavos and my Hentacles kit gun. By the way, I was with a different team when I am doing the Stage 2 of the showcase because my game did crash on the loading screen of the next level. But anyway, the result is just the same, and I would like to thank also the players who are part of my team doing my Temporal Archimedia run. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next video.
But we're not done yet.
It means something's pushing back against what we're trying to do here. Next target, Kaya. Go.
looks like they were, but now they're not, and that's a big problem.
Wait, you're saying we already deep six these guys, and if we don't put them down again, the wheels come off the universe? That tracks. Val, let's go.
able to capture some Oblivion.